Hello everybody, welcome to Cooking on a Budget, the last of the final 4 of our seasonal Scottish, and I thought it was very fitting that we should do scones this week. Something I'm quite well known for, but there's so many things you can do with a scone mix. So I'm going to make the mix up and show you the ratio that I use. So I'm just going to, first of all, back to showing people how you don't need to always use scales and measure things. You can actually, that sometimes is a barrier for people when they're baking or cooking. So here we have a bag of self-raising flour. There's about 1 kilo in it because there's a third out of it. So what I'm going to do is, instead of weighing it out, and it doesn't have to be 100% to the gram either for scones, there's a bit of leeway. So basically I'm just going to take half of what's there and I'm going to pop it in a bowl. So that's 500 grams of, this is self-raising flour today, but you can use plain flour and baking powder as well. So as long as you remember, for 100 grams of baking powder, a flat teaspoon, 100 grams of plain flour, a flat teaspoon of baking powder will give you the same effect as self-raising. So we've got our flour. I'm doing it up here so that you can, so that I don't block the camera. Now this is a 500 gram tub of margarine. And I've put 500 grams in here, and so now I'm going to put 100 grams of margarine or butter or vegan butter or anything you like, but it's got to be some kind of fat product. So I'm going to divide this into a fifth here. It's quite soft, but that's okay. And then I'm going to spoon it out. So the essence of scone is that you're really putting quite a small amount of fat. It's not like the crumble or the pastry. You're putting a fifth of the fat to your flour ratio in. Some people put a bit more if they want them to be really buttery, but I've always put this amount in, and they make really, really nice light scones. So I'm just going to get that in. And then I'm going to pop that there just now. I'm going to pop this here. So what we're going to do is, because it's really soft, I'm going to chop it up a lot. And actually, although you can rub in really hard fat flour, margarine, vegan flour, actually if you chop it up and it's really soft like this, it really actually quickly, you won't need to do much rubbing in. But the rubbing in part is important. Sorry people, believe it or not, I'm still nervous. So we're just going to rub the fat into flour here. And actually, you do create a lightness in your scone if you bring it up when you're rubbing it in. Okay, so really important. Now, you can use scones for all sorts of things. Everybody kind of normally associates them with sweet, but you know what? You can make loads of different types of savoury scones. And for example, one of my favourites is cheese and tarragon. A friend of mine suggested that cheese and garlic's very nice. And they're really nice for canapes. You can make tiny baby ones and then put cream cheese on them and things. But today, I'm going to make some sweet scones. I don't put sugar in my scones because I tend to put either fresh fruit or quite a lot of dried fruit in my scones, so that actually makes them sweet enough. But again, it's just flour and fat really, and a wee bit of milk, which in theory you could, you might not always have flour if you don't bake, but you've always got some kind of butter and you've always got milk in the house, or dairy versions of. So it's actually a really easy thing to just sort of bring together. And yeah, afternoon teas, cream teas, kind of summery thing, isn't it? So, but I just thought we couldn't do Scottish and seasonal without making scones. So, right, okay, well that's nearly there. It's much dry, you can't feel the fat so much through this, but again, it's just a wee bit of fat through the scones. It's not meant to be overly buttery because then they're too heavy. So it's really important. And then I'm just going to finish that off, just about there, super quick. And that's the nice thing about the fat being soft, is that we were able to just chop it up quickly and then rub it through. So half of this batch, I'm going to make just a 3 or 4 sweet scones, and then I'm going to show you another thing you can do with scone mix, which is what I call a pizza scone. And I've often made this when I've not got lots of money and I just want to rustle up something for a lot of people, and it's really nice as well. Obviously bread and a pizza base made with bread's nicer, but you can actually do it with scone mix, and I'm going to show you that. So, right, that is our scone mix rubbed in, ready to rock and roll. So I'm going to... So how's everybody doing? Have we got a beautiful day in Edinburgh? I don't know if you're watching or wherever you are. It's absolutely gorgeous outside. Everybody looks happy with the sunshine. It's fantastic. So, oh, that's the first time I've said so. I've just realised after trying really hard not to say it. I'll make sure I try not to. Okay, so we'll get these out of the way. Now, the way we were taught to make scones at school was terrible, in that the mix was really dry and we had to roll it out and cut it out and then put it back together again and roll it out again. But scone mix is actually really quite like pastry. You really want to not over-handle it. And the other thing, the difference with the scones that I make is that I make the mix really sticky, and almost to it looking like cake, because you can always dry it out. Whereas if you make a really dry scone mix, a bit like pastry, it'll just fall to bits and it'll be dry. And if it's dry, it doesn't really go up, if you see what I mean. So just going to pop a wee bit milk in here. Now, I put in that's probably about 100 mils. So I'm going to use my buttery spoon. It won't matter. I'll just put a wee bit more butter in. An important thing is the texture, okay? And start off with it. Be a bit cautious about the milk. You don't want it too milky. But I think we're going to need more in there. So, any comments, anybody? Anybody? No, you can't put alcohol in scones before anyone asks, okay? Just to let you know. I can put alcohol in most things, but I cannot put them in scones. Well, I suppose you could try, actually. Now, you can, again, make a vegan version of this. I've made scones with fruit juice instead of milk, but they're actually really nice, made with like almond milk, cashew, all sorts of different milks. Again, this is really dry. So we need quite a lot of milk, probably double what I said. 200 mils for this amount. I forget I'm making a bigger batch, I'm dividing it in two. So, okay. So again, you don't want to beat it like a cake mix, but you do want it sticky. So there we go, that's starting to look the way I want it. So yes, so that's quite sticky looking. That's, I think, yeah, that's about right. So it looks more like a kind of rough cake mix, okay? And it's best if it's that sticky because it really does make a difference to how light your scone is. So next thing, I'm going to put a wee bit of flour on my board, really important, especially if it's sticky because that's how you're going to dry it out. Now, I'm just going to put one half of this on here just now. Normally if I was making these all sweet scones, I would put vanilla essence in them because, ask anybody that knows me, whenever I make scones, I always put just a wee touch of vanilla essence in them because it makes it look really nice. But I'm not going to today because I'm going to make one half of this savoury. So we're going to pop that on the board. And we'll leave the other half and I'll show you what to do with that for pizza. Now, you can put, normally we were taught again to put dried fruit in scones, and you can do that, and you don't have to go and buy a whole bag of raisins either. You can go somewhere like Aldi and get a wee pack like this for sort of 20 pence. So I'm actually going to do a mixture of dried and fruit in here today. So I'm just going to, a wee bit of flour, pat this down, and then I'll mix the fruit through it. Just so I can pop my hand on it. So I'm going to pop that there just now. And then what I've got here is I've got a nectarine. I've put pear in scones. One of my favourite scones is apple and cherry. So you can put all sorts of fresh fruit in your scone. Doesn't matter if it gets floury because it's going in the mix. So just let's put a bit of nectarine, a bit of plum in there. And all these things add just different colour. But the fresh fruit adds a really nice sweetness. So again, I never make sweet scones with sugar in them. You can if you like, if you want them to be super sweet, but if you think about it, they're going to be served with jam usually. If you're making savoury scones, obviously you wouldn't put sugar in it, but you can put things like herbs, or you can put mustard. There's all sorts of things. You can make as exotic scones as you like. I quite often like to make a kind of herby scone for canopies, as I say. I do that quite a lot. But look, this is going to have so much colour in it. They're going to be lovely, lovely. So just chopping these all up so they can go through. Last bit here. So that's plum, nectarine and some dried fruit in there. Just a huge amount. So just going to mix it through now. Just to try and, it'd be better if you could to do it in a bowl. But I'll get all this in. Just going to mix it through there like that. Oh, it's still nice and sticky. I'm making a bit of a mess here actually. Normally I would have done it in the bowl. There we go, let's get all this fruit in here. So, right, okay, so got your scone mix there. Everything's kind of mixed through that now, a bit like making bread really. But this is actually really light, this mix. Oops, sorry. This is really light, and then you just flatten it. You don't need a rolling pin, you just flatten it down. And to make a decent scone, the other important thing is to make sure it's of a decent depth, because otherwise it's going to go nowhere and it's going to end up like a biscuit. And sometimes, excuse me, I'm just going to wash my hands. Okay. Okay. So the next thing is that you should really put them always onto a floured board. I'll just pop that on there just now, get the milk out of the way. So, put them on a floured board. Just sprinkle a bit of flour on there, and this stops them sticking, and it means that they'll come away when you take them out of the oven. Right, now, again, a barrier sometimes to people is that, oh, I haven't got a cutter, don't know, can't cut it. You can easily do it with a glass. If you want to make baby ones, you can use like a champagne flute or something like that. So I'm just dipping this in the flour because that stops the scone mix from drying. Now always start at the edge, so, and then work your way round, like that, like so. And if it's not too dry, actually it'd be better to have this in a wee bowl rather than contaminate the actual whole bag of flour. So there you go, there's another one. These are going to be lovely, you can feel by the texture. She says, oh, I shouldn't tempt fate really, as they say. Right, okay, so. Right, and one more. I'll just make the one and then we'll dispose of that. I'm just going to shape it up a bit. Tiny bit of flour, dry it out a wee bit. Again, scone mix, you should really try and handle it as little as you can because you can make it tough. So that's going to be another scone. We'll make it a bit smaller so it's the same as everything. There you go. So pop that now. Traditionally, lots of people paint egg on their scones to brown them. And I basically don't, because I personally like my scones floury. Okay, so I'm just going to put a tiny bit of flour on top, and actually they look nice with a wee bit of flour on them as well. But traditionally most people would paint egg on them, but I don't know, I've just never done it. I've just done it this way. Usually because I haven't got an egg, but. So there we go, fruit scones. How long did that take? Didn't take very long at all. And then we look forward, I've got them in the oven preheated, and we're going to pop them in. And then I'm going to show you how to make your pizza sauce. Oh. It's very important that your ovens are quite hot, at least 200 degrees for the scones, because like most cakes, if you put it in a cool oven, the whole purpose is it goes in, it goes whoosh like that. So I'm just going to dispose of that, take the vanilla essence away. Now I'll take this fruit away. Oh. Okay doke, so I'm going to clean up this 2 seconds and then I'm going to use it for, actually I've got another board I can use because I'm going to reuse that for my pizza. I've got another board here, oops. I'm going to use that to get the next part of our cooking on a budget session going. So, perfect. Now, next thing, we're going to make, I'm just going to wipe down a wee bit, we're going to make a very basic tomato sauce. Because, I mean, you can actually make pizza with, you know, like a jar of ragu. You know, you don't have to make your own, or you can use just basically tomato paste. You don't need to make the sauce, but I just thought the whole point of these sessions were to actually just teach you how to do some basic sauces and basic things. So we've done a white sauce, and we're now going to do a basic tomato sauce, which can be used for pizza, it can be used for pasta, it can be the start of a bolognese, chili. So if you know how to make a basic tomato sauce, you can cook an awful lot of things. So, right. Now, for me, my basic tomato sauce starts with onion. And I always take my top and bottom off. I'm gonna, this is not the sharpest knife in the box, as my mother used to say. So, I think it was my mum that taught me how to make a tomato sauce. I'm absolutely sure of it. But, and so here's to you bet. Right, I'm just going to take all that away. When you're cooking, it's always best to have a wee bowl or something, because you know, if you're chopping things and putting things away, it means you can put your debris in another bowl, and it keeps it separate, and it won't get mixed in with what you're cooking or what you're trying to chop up. So, what's that? It's nectarine, is it? Right. So I chop my onions small, but you can make a pizza sauce with onions big, whatever you like, chunky, or whatever you want. So you just basically need to put in some onion. Just try and keep it all together. And I feel a bit strange cooking hot food on such a hot day. I should be doing salads and things, but we'll maybe do that soon. Right, next thing is, if you get everything ready to go, all you have to do is then throw it all in the pan. So the next thing, is garlic. If you wish, again, you do not need to put garlic. You get a lot of people go, oh, I don't like garlic, but it's very good for you, but you can put a wee bit of garlic in it. Again, that's your choice to do so. I probably wouldn't make a tomato sauce without it. Most Italian dishes or Italian basic sauces have got garlic in them. But I'll not put too much in because I don't want to take up too much time getting it all ready. Anyway, no comments out there. I wonder if anyone's even watching. I'm only kidding. I just really like to do it, and I like to think that people could watch this at a later date and go, oh, I didn't know it was that easy. The amount of times people have said I can't cook and then said I didn't know it was that easy to me, I would be a millionaire, as they say. So, okay, that's your garlic peel. There are easier ways to peel garlic, like crushing it and stuff, but I've just done it that way today. So, next thing, chop that up finely. I mean, you can buy minced garlic, you can buy dried garlic. You don't need to use fresh garlic, but fresh garlic definitely gives you the best result. So, that's us all ready to rock and roll. It's that simple. So you've got onion and you've got garlic, and that's all you need, and tinned tomatoes. Okay, so I'll get our pot, we'll get it on the induction stove, and then we're going to turn this up. Hopefully no interference this week. I don't get asked to move rapidly to the cooker. So get the oil hot. Let's see. Yes. We'll get our tinned tomatoes open. You can use chopped tomatoes, you can use plum tomatoes. You can get plum tomatoes really cheap. They are much cheaper than chopped. All you got to do is cut them up a wee bit, you know. It's not such a big deal to buy the plum, and they are definitely cheaper on the whole. So, just cleaning as I go again, so we're ready to, all nice and clean. So, oil is heating. You forget how hot that is. So, first thing that goes in is your onion. And you can put your garlic in a wee bit after you cook the onions, or you can put it in at the same time, whatever you wish. There's no hard, fast rule. I'll just get a spoon to stir it with. As I said, you know, you can actually make the scone pizza with, you can buy a little jar of ragu. You know, like the sauce you normally buy, you don't cook your own. You can do it with tomato paste, but just straight tomato paste. And a lot of people make pizza that way, and it's just as nice. But I just thought this might be an opportunity to show you how to make a really simple tomato sauce. So, lightly brown them. It's funny, when we were taught to cook, we were taught that onions had to be very light golden brown in this country, and actually, oh, what's happened? It's beeping at me. Anyway. So, it's shouting at me. So here we go, onions are lovely. You know, in Oriental cooking, your onions need to be really dark. I don't like them too light. The darker they are, the kind of more flavoursome they become. So there you go, onions and garlic all fried up. Looks yummy yummy. Really easy, smells wonderful. It's amazing every time you're in the kitchen cooking onions or garlic, people come in and go, oh, what's that smell? It's amazing. And it's true. So that was one onion, 2 or 3 cloves of garlic. So I'm going to put in, I think, about half this tin. I don't think I'm going to put it in, all in. I don't think we need it all. Right, because that'll be too much for the ratio. So I'll pop that out of the way. I'll get my knife back again, and I'm just going to chop through the plum tomatoes. So again, they're always the cheapest, and the only difference between them and chopped is that, yeah, the other ones are chopped. So if you're trying to make food really cheap, if you think about this dish, 1 onion and 1 tin of tomatoes and a bit of garlic, and you can make a sauce that will feed, and pasta, which is 20 odd pounds, you know, you can feed a lot of people for under £1, so it's worth thinking about. I think you can actually blitz this sauce. You can put it in a blender, or you can make sure it's more finely chopped than I'm making it. I'm making it really rough, just for time, but it smells lovely already. So just got a tough tomato here, not splitting up. There you go, that'll do, that'll do. So we've now got our lovely tomato sauce. You need to put salt and pepper in it. It's one of the things I didn't look out before I started, which I should have. You really need salt and pepper. The other thing is, often with tinned tomatoes and quite often fresh tomatoes, you really need to put a tiny wee bit of sugar or sweetness in them because of just the nature of what they are. So most people would put tomato paste in this just to give it that wee bit edge. That's what a lot of people buy tomato paste for. I personally quite often use ketchup because it's in the house, and if you buy tomato paste sometimes you only use a bit and then you waste the rest. So most people have got ketchup in the house. I quite often put ketchup in my tomato sauce just to give it that sweetness and that kind of strength of tomato. So we've got onion, we've got garlic, we've got tinned tomatoes in here. I'm going to turn it down now and let it simmer a bit. Just slow it down a wee bit. Now, some salt and pepper, which I'm not sure where I will locate, but you would normally always put salt and pepper in this. I'm just going to have a quick look. Ah, perfect, some coarse salt. Aha! There we go. So we're going to put a wee bit of salt in here. Normal salt's fine. I'm putting in some coarse salt because it's hot and it will dissolve. And then a bit of pepper. Lovely jubbly, as they say. Now, one of the things, you can put in several types of herbs, but they should really be for pizza or Italian. There's normally oregano is your main herb, or as kind of for a pizza sauce. You can buy mixed herbs, which has got oregano, it's got basil, it's got coriander and rosemary in it. You can make pizza with just rosemary, but oregano is the herb you should really use to make your sauce more sort of Italian or pizza-ish. And you also put some on the top just before you put it in the oven. So that's a bit of oregano. I'll come back to that. So there we go. We have a pizza sauce, be it chunky. As I say, a wee bit squish of tomato ketchup or tomato paste in that. It will be absolutely perfect. And it's the first time I've managed to cook something completely on here without being shifted. I'm really pleased with myself. There's been no interference. Okay, so I'm going to switch that off. Because remember, it will cook again when it's on top of the pizza scone, or the pizza you're going to make with scone mix. Okay, let's have a wee check of our scones, because actually they do cook super quick. I'll leave that there. So we're going to have a wee look. Oh, look at those. They are coming up beautiful. That's going to be great timing. Sorry, I should have left that open longer. It's going to be great timing for us getting our pizza scone in the oven. Now, sorry. The important thing if you make any kind of pizza or breadish type product like this, like even with the bread dough, is that you need to oil the base rather than flour it. So what I tend to do is that I oil this side and then on this with parchment. I mean, you can do it without parchment. Don't make it an excuse not to make it. You can do it without parchment. I've actually done it with A4 sheets of paper before, believe it or not. Well, I'm sure you do believe that. So I improvise a lot. And I've gone into lots of kitchens where they didn't have parchment. So tiny bit more oil on that side. And actually the oil underneath helps bake it a wee bit as well. So, nobody talking to me out there. That's all right. So that's your pan ready to go. I'm going to bring back our floury chopping board and our mix. Now, I would probably put some fresh herbs in here, like rosemary, or maybe you could put garlic through this. I'm going to do a bit of oregano, maybe tiny wee bit. So this is where you can make savoury scones, and you can put all sorts of things in a savoury scone mix. So let's get this mix. You can see how sticky it is. It does look like a cake mix, doesn't it? And a wee bit more flour. Now the important thing, and what's different about pizza scone and the dough itself, is that it has to be thinner. Because remember, it's going to double in size, so if you make it too thick, you'll end up with a really, like the ratio of scone to sauce and stuff won't be good. So you need to really make sure that you make it nice and thin. Okay, so that's that. Again, a wee bit of flour on the top. No rolling pin required, you just have to pat it down and get it to the shape that you want it to be. Now it's a bit sticky, so we're just going to dry it out. So a bit like bread, I just kind of turn it in on itself each corner, and then I kind of roll it over like that. So made it into a round shape now. I mean, you can use a rolling pin, but you can do it perfectly adequately without. So I'm going to just flatten that out a bit before I transfer it, and then I'm going to move it to the oiled tray, and I'll probably flatten it a wee bit more because we don't want it to be too thick, because then it's too doughy. Okie doke, how's our scones? Oh gosh, looking good. So there we are, we've got our pizza scone. It doesn't need to be round, it can be square, it can be anything you want. You can make it a love heart shape, you can make it triangular, you can make it whatever you like. So there you go. So, I keep saying so, keep trying not to. They'll say, see that woman, she says so all the time. Right. Voila, as they say. So we're going to put our pizza sauce on the top. I won't need all of it, but I have fed many hungry children that have turned up in my house with this, and everybody loves it. It's just so simple. And it's very nice, and it doesn't need to be super thick. You just need to make sure that there's sauce in every bit, and leave a bit around the edge like you would with a normal pizza, because it just does make a difference. It's not right to the edge. You want to make it look like the real thing. Who needs Dominoes, eh? Huh. So there we go. We have now got a pizza. Now if you're vegan, you can use vegan cheddar, or actually you don't necessarily need to even use the cheddar. It's actually really quite nice without. But I have grated some mozzarella that I got from Bridgend. I've used mozzarella on this occasion, but I would often just use cheddar. I don't often have mozzarella at home. If you haven't got a grater, mine's just all stuck together. If you haven't got a grater, you can cut it in chunks. If you notice, sometimes if you buy pizzas, they have the mozzarella in little circles. You can do it any way you like. But you can use normal cheddar, no problem at all. It's just as nice, and it creates the exact same effect. And I think just about got enough. I didn't practice this one. There we go. So there we go. That's got enough cheese on it. Just spread it around a wee bit. Remember, you can touch things with your hands if they're going to get cooked. So. Now on top of this you can throw ham, pineapple, pepperoni, I must have beer in the mind, pepperoni, all sorts of meat, anything you like. And then the last thing is I always put herbs on the top, because that's, for me, makes it a real pizza. And it also makes it look like a real pizza. And oregano is the one. Excuse my grubby hands a wee bit more. And the film crew's getting that. Oh, the film crew's getting that for their tea tonight, to go with their glass of wine to celebrate. Don't have to do this again. We are not going to be doing cooking on a budget for July. There's various other things going on, but we will be back in August. We're still deciding what we should do. And if you've got any special requests or any themes or anything you'd like to be taught, please get in touch with Bridgend and let us know. So, time, we'll wash my hands quickly, and then it's time to see what our fruit scones have come out like. Now they've only been in the oven, what, 15 minutes? They really don't take long. They really don't take long, and they're such a really nice thing to have. Right. Okay, so I better use the oven gloves actually, that's much more PC. Oh wow, look, there we go, how's it looking? They're just about there, maybe another couple of minutes. So I'll pop them up the top. Will they fit? Yeah. So I'm going to pop them up the top just to finish them off. Because doesn't that pizza look lovely? Beautiful. And then that goes in there. So you can make sweet and savoury with the same mix. And you can make pizza for tea, and then for food you can have cream teas with strawberries and jam and all sorts. A lot of people think you have to have clotted cream, but I use Greek yogurt a lot for cream teas, and it's really nice because it's not quite as rich and it's a wee bit tart. It's much, much nicer. So let's see, will we get a plate for scones? See if the film crew would like to try them. Or I'll try one. Check that they're cooked in the middle. We'll get the butter out. Whoops, sorry. Mini chopping board. Let's chop it open. And some butter. And right. Just wanted to finish them off just to make them slightly browner. Let's see, how are we doing? Yeah, that looks good. You don't want them too dark, because the darker you cook them, the more dried out they'll be. You see, I like the floury effect. Let's just see. Oh, they feel lovely and light. We'll just take that one out just now. That one's a beauty as well, I think. Yeah, we'll take the ones on the edge out, pop those ones back in. Not forget about them though. A tiny bit longer. So, let's see how our scones have turned out, everybody. So I hope you're all going to be having a good go at scones. Just going to pop that there. Going to cut them open now. She says, hoping they're cooked. They should be. They're not far off if they aren't. Nope, nearly there. Tiny wee bit longer, but basically nice and light though. That's perfect. That'll do. So then you would put a wee bit of butter on them, jam, cream, Greek yogurt. If you didn't want to, clotted cream's terribly expensive, and Greek yogurt's just a marvellous substitute. So that's it actually. I know it's been quite a quick one again today, but I just thought it'd be really nice to show you all the different types of things you can do with scones. One of my favourite things to do, and I've done a lot with the Junk Food Project dinners, is little baby scones, and you could put cream cheese and smoked salmon and all sorts of things like that. So let's put some butter on here and get them all ready to go for when we finish. And maybe could have put a wee bit more fruit in them, but I think they look lovely. And we'll just butter them up like you would with your mum when you're a teenager. And sorry, I'm just being silly now. So everybody, thank you so much for watching again, if you were, and if not, if you watch it later, hopefully that's been useful. Dispelled some of the myths of scone making, which is obviously a very, very Scottish thing. And we hope that you'll join us in August. We hope to start the Cooking on a Budget in August again. And thank you so much for coming and joining us for the last 4 weeks. Hope you've picked up some tips and tricks. And my name's Donna McCardle, and I look forward to seeing you hopefully in August for more Cooking on a Budget. Thank you. Bye-bye.